Hello there, people of the internet. I've talked about this topic sort of before on this channel, but I never really made a particular video about this topic. And I think that I never did that just because there's so many really good options out there for the 5.56 cartridge. Well, I guess for this video we'll be talking about both 223 and 5.56. So in terms of what is the best projectile, or rather the best style of bullet for the 5.56 cartridge, there's a lot of really good contenders. However, everything included, after all is said and done, I would probably say that the original 55 grain Full Metal Jacket is probably the best 5.56 cartridge that we have so far to date. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I know some people are already typing angrily in the comments down below, but there is some rationale behind what it is that I'm saying here. So your 55 grain Full Metal Jacket, first things first, any AR can run that. Like literally all of the ARs in existence are able to run that. I have here a Delton DTI. This has a 1 in 9 twist barrel. That can run your 55 grain projectiles. I got my M16 build here. This has a 1 in 12 twist barrel. That can run your 55 grain projectiles. Even if you have the super rare 1 in 14 twist barrels, that will still run those 55 grain projectiles. Over here, I got myself a 20-inch build that I'm currently working on. This right here is a 1 in 7 twist. That'll run 55 grain projectiles. Just having the ability to run a particular kind of ammunition in any AR platform immediately tells me that the 55 grain bullet is the best possible option. Now that being said, you could go out and get yourself some kind of like hunting round, expanding round, load, soft point, polymer tip, whatever it is that you feel like doing, like what I got right here. These particular ones, I can't remember who it is that makes them, but they are 55 grain, and you'll see they got the polymer tip on them. And that is because these are a hunting round. That means that they expand and or fragment upon impact, depending on how close you are and what kind of velocity you're pushing them at. But those right there dump a lot of energy onto their target. The issue is with a lot of those, they, especially in your closer ranges, they expand and fragment way too soon. So you got a fist-sized hole on something that you're firing at, but you have no penetration. You got no... It's not ideal for anything that is, say, larger than a deer. I get most people would be using these types of rifles for defensive purposes, but in the event that you got to defend yourself against like a moose or a bear or something that is larger, having a Full Metal Jacket round would just be a better option than those expanding rounds. That being said, the 5.56 55 grain, or not even 5.56, let's say you are running 223 ammo, which tends to run several hundred feet per second slower than 5.56. And you are running what most people are running nowadays. You're running a 16-inch barrel. Even with that completely basic loadout against a human-sized target, meaning the width of what most human-sized torsos are, with that 55 grain projectile from even a 223 cartridge within 250 yards, which is way beyond what most people are even capable of shooting at, within 250 yards, you're going to see adequate fragmentation from that round because it's still going at a velocity that is above the threshold of what is necessary to cause fragmentation with that round. However, that being said, it's still a Full Metal Jacket. It's going to hold itself together pretty gosh darn well. We see in all sorts of tests and all sorts of hunting videos and all sorts of everything where you get some pretty gosh darn good expansion and fragmentation and tumbling from these 55 grain Full Metal Jackets, but they do have typically a big piece of them that will hold itself together, and that big piece tends to penetrate pretty gosh darn good. Now, it's not ideal against, say, a charging rhinoceros or anything like that, but I would think those Full Metal Jacket rounds would be a better option than something like your polymer tipped projectile for an instance like that. The Full Metal Jacket round is just a good universal round. It's a good universal cartridge because it's going to have relatively decent effect on a target that is, say, a human sized, were you to use this rifle against whatever opposing force it is that you might be coming up against. I don't know what it is that you're doing. Some people leave some comments down below telling me that they're doing some really wild stuff. But that Full Metal Jacket round will have absolutely adequate results. Is that the word I'm looking for? It will have absolutely adequate results against a human-sized / medium game target, and you still get fairly decent penetration. So if you had to use it against a larger target, I have no doubts that you would be able to. Your 62 grain green tip rounds, those are inaccurate. Just the way it is that they're designed, they're not designed for accuracy. They also tend to be a little bit more expensive, and I'm pretty sure that they're illegal in some places, if memory serves me correctly, because they got that steel core. Now, I get that they are better at penetration. That being said, they are not great against a human-sized target or a medium game-sized target or something like that, because they just kind of ice pick wound their way through that target, especially at lower velocities, which is what you get from a 16-inch barrel. Were you to use a 20-inch barrel with proper propellants that are going to get you the actual 5.56 velocities that you're looking for, those would probably be doing pretty gosh darn well, within reasonable ranges anyway. But my bottom line is the 5.56 55 grain round, if we have actual proper 5.56, most people are just going to run it through a 16-inch barrel. Through that 16-inch barrel, it's probably going to run about 3,000 feet per second, maybe a little bit faster depending on how spicy that ammo is. And out to about 250, potentially even farther than that, you're going to be getting reliable effect on target in terms of fragmentation. Yes, even with a Full Metal Jacket round, those Full Metal Jackets are designed to fragment anywhere from I'd say about 2,500 feet per second and higher velocities. And you reach that within about 300 yards with the velocities that you get from actual mil-spec 5.56 from a 16-inch barrel. Now, if you're using a 20-inch barrel, of course you're going to get better effect and better effectiveness on target at longer distances. But that 55 grain round, just the fact that it is pretty effective, not the most effective, it is pretty effective against most of your targets that you're going to be coming up against. And it can be ran in every AR that is out there, with every twist rate barrel that is out there. If you have your AR and you have, say, a 1 in 7 twist, but you prefer 77 grain bullets over the 55 grain stuff, so that's what you stockpile. I got a bunch of 77 grainers. Oh no, it's the end of the world. Oh hey look, my buddy is coming over. What's that? Your barrel has a 1 in 10 twist in it. Oh no, you can't use my 77 grain projectiles that I have stockpiled in my garage. Well, that's a bummer. Well, guess what? If you had 55 grain projectiles, that really wouldn't be that bad of an issue. Now, there's some arguing points where people are probably going to be like, I would never team up with someone who wasn't prepared. Why didn't he bring his own ammo? Or insert XYZ sort of situation as to why they should be prepared and they're not your responsibility. Things happen. Natural disaster, fire, maybe you lost all his stuff, divorce, had to sell some things. Life happens. We all get to points to where we're like, hey, I might have to get rid of some stuff from the hobby because I gotta pay bills. Like, I myself am like that, especially after I had that stroke back in 2021. Dude, it was terrible. I had health insurance, but dude, they kept charging me for absolutely everything. It was not a fun timing. I had to get rid of a lot of stuff. My point is, life happens. When things are good, you can stack it deep, typically for cheap. When things are bad, you might have to start getting rid of stuff, or maybe you just lose something. Maybe, I don't know, the mother-in-law comes by, and guess what? She's an alcoholic, and guess what? She's watching the house for the weekend, and guess what? She goes off and sells one of your things. I don't know. The world has ways of making it... Like, the world has ways of making sure that we don't always have what we think it is that we're supposed to be having. So, somebody shows up, it's your buddy, you're like, hey, it's the end of the world, I trust you, I know you. Guess what? You brought your AR, fantastic, here's some ammo. 55 grain. It's going to work in absolutely everything. You might have to re-zero your rifle, but 55 grain. It's going to work in absolutely everything. So, I think just because of the universability of the cartridge, even if it is not the most effective on basically anything, it is effective enough on basically everything to the point to where I feel like it would be a good contender from really any barrel length at any practical distance with any twist rate. It really is just one of those cartridges that you could get a lot of for not a lot of money, and it would legitimately and reasonably be something that you could use for practical purposes for, well, whatever it is that you're doing, really. I know I have used the 55 grain projectiles on numerous small game. Actually, quite a few things. They're not very good for squirrels. They tend to just kind of vaporize the squirrel. But anything bigger than a squirrel, they tend to be pretty gosh darn good. Like raccoons, possum, armadillo, coyotes. Coyotes for sure. I love 55 grain on coyotes, especially whenever I use a higher twist barrel, especially if they're at longer distances. Oh boy, it does a lot. It puts them down basically immediately. Never taken a deer with a 5.56, but I have absolutely no doubts that they would be able to get that job done, especially if you use the right ammunition. And I'm betting that 55 grain pill from a nice long barrel using proper 5.56 spec, I'm betting that would probably do the job, considering that people use like 22 long rifle to take care of those things. Not advocating it, just saying it's a possibility in the event that things are going not great. At this point, I'm rambling. I just wanted to share my thoughts on the 55 grain bullet and just how universally good it is, because it can fit in everything and it can be ran with everything. It can be stuck in any barrel length, and it is effective out at most distances that like 99% of people would ever need to be able to shoot a cartridge out to. So thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode.
Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.